Okay, let's go!
He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
Car. Roses would be...
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have.
You'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns, what's right? Yeah, I want a man's coolant.
And he's like, oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light.
It's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West.
Internet.
Is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast content.
very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke.
It loves to be driven hard.
Welcome to another off topic episode. How are you, Brad?
Andrew, I am wonderful. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Excellent.
I don't think we talked about, because last week you were here in person, but we recorded in the middle of the week.
We did.
We went to the Salem High Car Show.
Yeah. Did we talk about that? I don't remember.
We couldn't have talked about it because
I don't think we did.
We hadn't gone there yet. And I just remembered it.
Then you're right. We definitely didn't talk about it. Yeah, that was neat because I was obviously in town for a week and it happened to coincide with that. And Salem High School is both of our alumni school, right?
Yeah, alma mater. Alma mater.
Alma mater. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Along with your dad and my dad.
And your dad.
And our other friend Joe who went. So I kind of wish whatever the group is that runs them, I wish they'd had that when we were high school students. It would have been kind of cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. It would have been super cool to be involved with that kind of car culture in high school. It didn't really exist in high school, though, I guess.
No, I thought it was a cool mix of cars.
It was a great mix of cars. I mean, you got to think. I graduated high school. Carry the 2 times the 4 plus the 5. 25 years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago. No, I wasn't doing real math. I was trying to make it look like I didn't know how long ago it was because it's embarrassing that it's that long ago now. 25 years ago, I graduated high school. And car culture 25 years ago was very different. There was no Cars and Coffee.
Nope.
There was no young person vintage car gathering. It was older people with their car club and the Wednesday night cruise nights, and that was really about it. There wasn't much car culture. Like, we had cars, we had friends with cars, but there was never any like organization beyond what we refer to kind of tongue-in-cheek and, believe it or not, lovingly now as a boomer car show. Like, there was nothing below that. Like, that was it. There was nothing like more casual. There was, every show had a $10 to $20 entry fee and you got a trophy for winning things. And that was just not, there was no casual car events. And I think that we're in a much better place for casual car events now. And it lends to stuff like a high school having a car show for a charity event. It was a fundraiser for the auto shop program.
Well, car shows would go from like 8 in the morning to like 4 in the afternoon on a Saturday. Which is a lot
they were
for
really
people.
long. Yeah, not a lot happening there. It was just parking in a big field, waiting for the trophies to be called. The second the trophies were called, everybody gets in a big traffic jam on the way out. And that was car show culture growing up, which we never really got into. We've never been like, we enjoy going to car gatherings to talk to friends, look at some cars, and just be there casually. We're not in it to like, show off our latest thing and try to win a trophy for our car, right? That's never been the way. I mean, sure, I think both of us have been to those kinds of events, and when you do, somebody does recognize your car for something. I'm not going to say it's not nice. Like, I've gotten a trophy or two here and there for something, but it's not my goal with cars. It seems like that used to be the goal with cars. And I remember going to car shows where people would like go to this local car show that everybody drives to, and one person shows up with their car in a trailer, and they roll it off a trailer, and they're out there at the car show all day cleaning rocks out of the tread in their tires and cleaning the backs of their wheels with toothbrushes. And it's like, what are we doing right now? Like, do that before the car show and don't go that crazy and drive it to the show. So I think that the big change has been that driving culture is a lot more than it used to be versus just showing culture. Also,
Driving, car
a lot
culture,
of
driving.
yeah, a lot of the cars that are at the shows we like to go to when we were of childhood age were just new cars. So that's a big shift as well. You know, that's the whole Redwood effect, right? All those 80s and 90s cars were just cars. So
Yeah, exactly.
and I think that's how we got dragged into the whole Redwood thing ourselves, was because it was appreciating the cars that we liked, and it wasn't a trophy show. There were a couple of like superlative type trophies at the end of the show, but it wasn't like best paint, best engine bay, best 1980 to 1985 Corvette, best 1985 to 1990 Corvette, best 1980 to 1985 Mustang, best 19. It wasn't that ridiculousness. And I remember going to shows like that where literally there was a category for every generation of Mustang or every generation of Camaro, and it's just like, what is happening right now? So
Yeah. There were some muscle cars, but also I was surprised that there were some micro cars. Like, they're just local micro cars running around.
yep, there was a Henkel,
Yep.
which is electric swapped, which is kind of neat. And then there was an Isetta
Mhm.
that was gasoline powered.
Yep.
And what I thought was cool was that at the auto shop at the school, they're doing an electric swap on an S10.
Yep.
And that was displayed there. They're building grassroots motorsports $2,000 challenge cars,
Yep.
which is cool. Like, what? This is not high school we went to.
Nope.
That's way cooler. Again, that stuff didn't exist when we were in high school, so
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a good time. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it was. I just brought the Montero. I think, would your dad bring the Camaro, and would you drive the Spitfire?
He brought his 67 Camaro, and I brought his Spitfire.
Yeah.
He actually did win an award at that show.
Oh, he did?
He did. He won Best Alumni Car
Oh, cool.
with the Camaro. Yeah. So, like I said, we're not in it to win awards, but hey, it's nice, right?
I didn't
Recognized
even
for-
get the entry form, so...
You had to walk up and get it.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's on you. Yeah, they're up
All right,
front of
that's
the
fair.
table.
That's fair. It was low effort.
If you didn't get one, that's on you.
Yeah.
I will say that
That reflects
your
my high
son,
school experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Not trying very hard.
You get in that parking lot and you immediately just slack off at everything.
Yeah.
I will say it was really adorable because your son loves to hang out in the back of your Montero.
Yeah.
And it has sliding windows. And I walked up to the window and he slid the window open and he immediately asked me what kind of ice cream I wanted.
Yeah.
Not that he had ice cream, but he wanted to pretend he had ice cream and pretend he was an ice cream man in the Montero.
Yeah.
So I demand that at the next event I see you and your son at, you have a cooler full of ice cream that he can serve me through the back window.
All the ice cream you
So-
can't have.
I can have ice cream in moderation. It's fine.
Okay.
Everything in moderation, Andrew. Little ice cream never hurt nobody. All right. Anyway, it was a good time. I'm glad we went. We had to take off a little early because we had to finish up some moving of cars because I was flying back to Phoenix that day. But it was good. It was good. There was a fellow vintage Volvo owner there too, so you got to see a local. Was it a
Yeah,
120?
I mean they're around.
Two?
It was a 122S.
Yeah.
Which I do like the body style on the 122. It's the Amazons I'm not that into. The Amazons look too old for me.
Yeah, because they look like a 40s car.
Yeah.
I dig them both. I think that much like most small 4-cylinder cars, I like the rally history of the Amazons. So if I had one, I'd want it to be done up, kind of in a rally-esque tribute.
Well, 122s really
look-
like that too.
Also, yeah, but 122s also look good as street cars. But I think that the Amazon Volvos look really good done up as a little rally car style. There used to be one that ran around Salem that was red and had big driving lights in the front, the big mud flaps hanging down, and it was really cool. But I haven't seen that car in a few years in Salem, so I don't know if it's not around anymore or what. But I also don't live there anymore, so I don't get to see every car like I used to. Yeah, no, it was a good time. I don't regret going. So it was neat to be back on the high school property without having to do homework afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I didn't.
So yeah, I was gonna bring. I almost brought the Galant, but I was in the middle of changing the fuel injectors out, which I don't think I talked about either. I hadn't done that yet.
I don't think you had finished last time we talked about the car. I don't think you had done fuel injectors, and I don't think you had finished the fuel pressure regulator.
Oh right, I got it mounted, and
Correct.
then
Fittings.
I was doing something else. I was waiting on parts, I think, because the kit I bought did not have the fittings that I wanted. I don't know where they expected you to put it in the engine bay because it was from STM, so it was like a kit for a first gen DSM Galant VR4, but it had like a 90-degree fitting, and it's funny. I ended up, getting served the algorithm somebody else with a Galant VR4, and they had the same Fuel Lab regulator, but it was over by like the brake booster, and I was like, oh, that's like a weird place to put it. But with the fitting, it was like pointed straight into the like fuel rail, and I was like, okay, sure. But so I ended up like having to order more fittings, and then for some reason the return line they gave you, Mitsubishi uses a 5/8 fuel line. The return line was 1/4 inch fuel. It's like, okay, that's annoying. So I kind of had to spend like another $100 doing my own fittings and lines, which is mildly annoying because it was like $100 for the fitment kit.
Well, unfortunately, with any of those like aftermarket kits like that, you're always gonna have to modify things to work because they're based on a universal setup, right?
Yeah, the regulator's universal, but I thought they kind of had stuff mostly there to adapt to a DSM Galant VR4. Like at least it had the end piece for the regulator that adapted to a dash 6AN, which is fine. So it's, I got all that apart. It all came apart nice and easy. I put new injector seals in. There's like this rubber piece that goes on the top of the injector that's kind of like a spacer, and then the new rubber spacers that go in the head that you were missing, I think. When you
I don't remember. Was
car back together,
missing them?
Yeah, I think you missed them when you took the stuff apart because they will.
Oh, the rubber spacers in the bottom of the injector. Yes, I had to go buy some.
Like when I took these out, like 3 came out, and then 1 was like stuck in the head, or 3 were stuck in the head and 1 came out, whatever. So I pulled them out, put new ones in, put the fuel rail back in, tightened it all up, realized that the 90-degree adapter to the AN fitting was interfering with the timing cover to like try to thread it. So I had to gently loosen the fuel injector rail just a little bit so I could tilt it up, get it started, and then it's fine. It's in there, doesn't touch anything, and tighten everything back down. And then I had it all together. I was putting the luckily the braided lines went together all right because they're kind of a pain sometimes.
So I got them together. I didn't have any, like, I don't know. AN lines are weird. Like there's a standard universal set of like wrenches you can use on them. And we've had a set for many years. I borrowed it from my dad. Almost none of the wrenches fit these. Like it's just like weird. You just end up finding whatever wrenches and you have in your toolbox and make them fit. It's just like
Strange.
It's like weirdly standard but not standard. I don't know.
Well, I think that the thread pitch inside is standard, and the outside is just like whatever Chinese manufacturer made them.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
But I got all the adapters I needed. I got a 90-degree 5/8 to come out of the bottom of the thing for the return. Of course, like I ordered new fuel line. I like the Earl's Vapor Guard fuel line because it works with modern fuels and doesn't leak gas or smell. You don't have like vapor smell from it. And I got it all together. Or actually, I ordered stuff from Summit, and of course those nice like fuel injection clamps that are like a T-bar clamp kind of. You know what I'm talking about? Fuel injection, like made for fuel injection. They didn't have the 5/8 size. Like it was like we won't have them until July. I was like, not doing that.
That's weird.
So I was like, well, I'll order the size above. Maybe you can cinch it down, right? So I get them, and of course, I just trying them before the podcast here. They do not get small enough. I was like, they're like for like 3/8 or something, or they're larger. I don't know.
My guess is you can buy the correct ones online, though, right?
I'll have to look somewhere else. So it's funny. I used to be able to buy the Urals thing by the foot, and Summit was like, call. I was like, definitely not doing that. Not calling. So I just bought 10 foot of it because it's like good fuel hose. Like I'll just have it for projects. I've used it to fix like the fuel line on the Montero that split and something else where I've talked about cutting off the ends of the factory fuel lines.
Yeah, we've both done that. I did it on the Starion, I think. I did it on something.
Yeah. So I was like, whatever, that's good to keep on hand. And then it turned out when I changed to the correct fitting on the return on the regulator, and I had the original hose from the car to the return was long enough. So I just used that. I didn't have to cut a new piece of hose. And I had used worm clamps on it, and it was already damaged by the worm clamps. So I'll just use that for now, and then I'll find some other clamps and swap it out with a new piece of hose. But I got everything tightened up. The nice thing about ECM Link is you can hook it up and go into the menu and turn on the fuel pump. Because when you turn the key on, the fuel pump doesn't turn on in a DSM or Galant VR4. It doesn't turn on until you're cranking. And I think we also confirmed this when we were trying to diagnose your Eclipse when it wasn't starting. If you remember.
Yes, I think so as well.
We were like trying to figure out why it wasn't cranking, and then we figured out like, I don't remember it now, but there's some reason it has to like, the engine has to like crank, and then it will fire the fuel pump. And if it's not cranking over, which was the problem with
it was something
CAS,
to do with a signal to the. Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but there was something that like excites the relay to start the pump running.
Yeah,
maybe it's like an attack signal. Maybe there was something
like that. There's something that triggers it. I remember now vaguely because we were reading the book.
I don't remember specifics.
This is why I keep the service manuals around, because I cannot internalize all of this. I know there's a reason for it, and I just go back and reference it.
Yeah, I think I remember dealing with it on the Starion as well, and I think it was a similar issue. And if memory serves me right, and maybe this was a different car because there've been so many cars over the years, but I don't know if it was Mitsubishi. I think it took the tack signal. So when the tack started bouncing as the car was cranking over, the fuel, something weird like that. I don't remember.
Because the cars do have, these DSMs and Galant VR4s do have a fuel pump check connector on the firewall that you can apply 12 volt to and will run the pump.
Correct. I remember doing that in my car.
So anyway, ECM Link allows you to do that through the menu. You just click it and it'll just run the pump.
Okay.
So it was cool. I ran it and I could hear the fuel come up and fill up all the areas that I had emptied. and the regulator wasn't set right, so I was able to set it, at least without the engine running, to the base fuel pressure. So I haven't had a chance to start it, but once it starts and it's got vacuum, then I can readjust at idle to make sure it has the correct 38 psi. But for now, it should start on 38 psi that it has if it runs, which it should. But also, by pressurizing it, nothing's leaking. So it's cool.
Excellent. That means it'll theoretically be drivable.
It should. It should be exactly the same as I left it. You also go into ECM Link and you tell it that you've changed the injector size, and you tell it the fuel pressure you're running, and it automatically compensates the fuel calculation for idle. So you're not running too rich at idle.
I honestly think that with all of the new technology coming out, I know DSM Link's not new, but like everything you're talking about to make this car run and drive normal, like I don't think it's going to be obsolete anytime soon. Like people are going to be making parts for these for a long time, and as 3D printing and CAD programs become more and more home friendly, I think there's going to be, enough people with one of these Eclipse or Gallants or a 4G60 turbo car to keep them on the road for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
I noticed it still had the code in there for the coolant temp sensor, but it hasn't been run since I changed it. So I cleared it.
Yeah.
And then I just need some time to.
I mean, this whole thing goes back to what we talked about earlier with 25 years ago car culture. Like 25 years ago, if a Galant VR4 died, you had to rely on Mitsubishi dealer parts and one old tech that remembered how to work on it. Whereas now there's just so much more information and so many more parts just available for these things. Not 1 GB timing covers, but other than that, everything seems to be pretty.
I hear people are working
available
on it, so we'll see with 3D printers.
Hopefully, if they need one to scan, I have a really perfect mint one now. So
yeah, 3D scanning is pretty cool. I got to.
That's what I mean. And as that technology becomes more downscaled and able to be in somebody's home, we're going to see a lot more enthusiast-based stuff continue to be on the road. If only we could figure out windshields.
Yeah. So I'm planning as soon as I get a chance. The problem is I've got those cloth seats I bought for the Montero are now sitting behind it, so I got to clear them out, and so I can get it out of the garage.
Sounds like you need another shed.
I might need another shed, or I might need to reorganize my current shed because it's not fully utilized. But I also don't want it overflowing and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I have a bunch of extra parts I need to get rid of too that I'm not using. That for cars I don't have anymore, so I need to sell those as well.
Excellent. Well, I haven't done any project car stuff here because since I've been back, we've been prepping for our shed. That was a little bit of a teaser there, I guess. So step one in the Brad Gets a Garage in Phoenix plan here was we needed a new shed. So we have a shed in the back corner where the garage is going. That's one of those metal 1970s sheds with the sliding doors that all at this point are 50 years old, almost, probably 40. Let's see, the house built in 78, so about 44, 45 years old. Wait, that math is wrong. Anyway, 47 years old. So anyway, it's falling apart and it's in the way. So the initial thought was, I guess we could just move this shed over to next to the house, but it's not a very big shed. You have to duck to get in it. You can't stand up in it because it's like a half height. It's got 5-foot walls, which is super inconvenient because you don't want to have to duck to get into your shed and then duck the whole time you're in your shed getting things out of it, because you're guaranteed every time to bump your head. It's guaranteed. Not an option. So we decided that we would buy a new shed. Now we are buying our garage from the company called Tough Shed, who, as you can probably imagine from their name, build sheds.
Tough sheds.
Tough Shed. They build the sheds that you can buy at Home Depot. However, if you buy directly from them, they give you a nicer product. So we bought directly from them. So when I got back from Massachusetts, day one was relaxed because I needed to get, relaxed. And then after that, it was after work. Naomi and I were working on the side yard to prep it for the shed. So we rented a tiller, like a Honda gas tiller, to kind of loosen all the dirt up there. We had to get all the rocks out of the way because it's like a zero scape with stone over there. Had to scrape all that out of the way, then use a tiller, till up all the dirt, and then went over with a tamper and knocked it all down to make it as even as possible. Running a tiller was fun. I'll say that. It was cool to dig up the ground. I'm sure other people have been like, whatever, tiller, I do it every day. But for somebody who didn't grow up on a farm, never used a tiller before. So that was kind of fun. I won't take any credit for the tamping and the evening. That was Naomi's little, she wanted to do that all herself project. So if you know anything about Naomi, when she wants to do something by herself, you let her do it. But she did a great job. Everything's nice and flat. While she did that, I moved cars out of the way so the shed people could walk around the yard, because these sheds come prefabbed. So they bring it in with a floor and then 2 side walls, front wall, back wall, 2 roof halves, and assemble it all in your yard. So we now have a 16-foot deep by 6-foot wide shed with 7-foot tall walls that go to a peaked ceiling. So the peak of the ceiling is probably, 10 or 11 feet.
That's a massive shed.
It's a very big shed, yes.
That's a borderline garage.
It's just too narrow. If it didn't have a door on the front, you could put a car inside of it. Tight. But with a door on the front, you couldn't get a car in it. But it didn't cost much more than a smaller one. So it didn't make any sense to go for a smaller one. Plus, where it is 100% hidden, so you can't really see it. So it's perfect. It's a part of our yard that's wasted space anyway, so you might as well fill it with a shed. So plenty of space for everything, and then some. Which I'm sure we'll find out that even though it's that big, it isn't big enough. And we'll fill it with stuff and be annoyed that it's already full. But that's just storage in general, I guess. But anyway, that's step one for getting the garage built. So we have the shed. We have not moved everything into the shed here from the old shed because it's been auto off topic weather report, record high temperatures in Phoenix already. So didn't exactly want to go outside and start moving things around today at 113 degrees after work. But yeah, so that's why there hasn't been any automotive progress here this week. But that will change, and by next episode there'll be some progress. So get a couple of things planned to work on, even though it's hot. So, but that's it. No other project car updates because there hasn't been any project car work. Just massive shed construction. And it's funny because if you see a picture of the shed, it looks small because of its proportions. That's 16 feet deep by 6 feet wide. When you just look at it, it looks like a skinny, narrow hallway. But when you step inside of it, you're like, oh, this thing is pretty big. There's plenty of room in here.
Yeah, mine's only like 8 by 10.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I could even put like my motorcycle in here for the hot summer season when I'm not riding it. Keep it out of the sun. So
there you go.
And still have room for all of our stuff. So it'll be good. It'll free up room everywhere. All the spare wheels.
Well, the problem is you don't want to like just fill it with stuff.
Like... No. We're actually tomorrow after work, we're going to Home Depot and buying some wood to make some shelves and to make sure we organize it properly. So,
well, now is a good time to like purge stuff.
As you're also that.
Yeah,
we were actually talking about that a little while ago, that as we dump out the old shed, we'll be like, oh, this can all just get donated.
Yeah. You're like, I don't actually need all this. And then
we have 37 coolers. We only need 35.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it will be. And I said coolers specifically so that when Naomi listens, she'll laugh because she knows we have a lot of coolers.
Yeah, why do you have so
She
many
loves her coolers. She loves her coolers. Listen, I have a lot of cars. I'm not going to question her cooler love. Everybody has their thing.
All right, I do have several There is you do need different coolers for different
You need
scenarios.
a variety of sizes. Yeah.
Yeah. You need soft-sided ones, you need hard-sided
Yep.
ones.
Yep.
You need ones for multiple days, ones for just a few hours.
Yeah, and I think the obsession started when her company store started stocking the Arctic brand, and so she gets a discount on them because the company store, and you can buy them on your company account. So they just you buy a cooler, and they take $10 out of your paycheck each week till it's paid. So we have a good variety of Arctic coolers. So
I maintain they're Ritic.
nope, you are quite wrong, but that's okay.
That's how I always read it.
I mean, if you look at it phonetically, it is RTIC, so it is R
Yeah.
tick.
Yeah.
Arctic.
Yeah.
And it's
Samsonite.
because cold.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that concludes this portion of 100% not car talk, just shed talk. So,
Yep.
And if you bring up sheds around Andrew, he will immediately send you the Instagram reel of the guy talking about becoming 40 and just thinking about sheds all the time. So
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
he's not wrong. That's been my headspace for the past few months. So just talking about sheds.
I was just.
And if you want to have fun, go to Tough Shed's website, and you can even build a 3D model of a shed right there.
Well, I got a local Reed's Ferry shed, and if you got a Reed's Ferry, you got a good one.
Yeah, well, we don't have those here, so. But it is a good shed. I will. It's only been up for a day. Hasn't fallen down yet. It's the mark of a good shed. So, it does have a 7-year warranty. So I'm sure at 7 years and 1 day, that's when it'll fall down.
Oh, I got a 30-year warranty.
What? Wow. Oh well.
I was like,
Shed talk.
I'll get the pressure treated floor, and the guy's like, you really don't need that. It's under warranty. We'll just replace it. It's like, okay.
Sweet.
But anyway, yeah.
Dumping water on the floor every day.
Sheds.
Sheds. All right. Real quick. NASCAR last week. Oh, wait. Before you get NASCAR, more importantly.
Yep.
Other racing news. We lost a racing legend this week.
We did.
Parnelli Jones.
Rufus Parnell.
Yeah, nobody knew.
Parnelli
I did not
Jones.
know. I did not know his name was Rufus Parnell. I've only ever known him as Parnelli Jones because obviously that was his preferred name, right? He obviously didn't like Rufus or Parnell. So
Well, I was reading one of his obituaries, and they were talking about he wanted to. It was like a Harvey Mushman situation.
okay,
He wanted to go race. So he didn't want his family to discover that he was racing cars as a 17-year-old minor.
oh, that's right too. I did read that. I didn't know that's why he changed his name though.
Well, his friend coined this nickname because there was some girl, Nellie, that he had a crush on or something. So he was like, "Oh, we'll just put Parnelli with an E at the end," and then
Yeah.
ended up just being Parnelli with an I at the end, and it stuck. So,
Well, it's funny that he was trying to hide his identity, and a man named Rufus Parnell Jones was like, "You know what? I'll go by Parnelli Jones. They'll never figure it out."
yeah. I mean, I don't know. In an era of just newspapers, you probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
Maybe make
that's
that
true.
connection.
You'd have to read the newspaper about auto racing, which I'm sure his parents weren't cool with, so they probably didn't read the auto racing section of the newspaper.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, if it's 100% a true story, it's a good story. If it's not 100% a true story, it's still a good story. So
Yeah.
I like it.
So
But he was a very successful race car driver. He started in the 60s. I mean, he ran Indy cars. He ran NASCAR. He ran Trans Am. He did Baja. He ran and was successful in everything.
Yeah. So really, really some synchronicity because we're just at Indy 500.
Yeah.
He was the first driver to qualify over 150 miles an hour.
which is wild.
Yep.
He was doing that in a rear-engine gurney forward, right?
They don't say the car.
So I know the big thing was he was there the year that the rear-engine cars first started running there.
Yep.
And he was, I think, in a gurney Eagle, and Colin Chapman was there with Lotus, and the racetrack people, like the officials, were upset about rear engine cars because they had this big side saddle oil tank, and they were afraid that they were going to rupture and make a mess all over the track, which teaser alert, they did.
Yeah.
But they had claimed that if anybody leaked any oil on the track, they were going to be disqualified immediately. And his side tank cracked or something. I'd have to go back and read the story. The side tank cracked, and he dumped oil, and then they like protested being thrown out. They're like, listen, the oil has now gone below the crack. There's not enough oil in there to leak anymore. And they're like, all right, I guess you can keep running.
Yeah. So that was 63. Yeah. So 62 is the first one to qualify over 150. 63 was the controversial Lotus Ford rear engine car.
Okay.
And then in 67, he ran the Jones STP Paxton turbo car.
Which is wild.
And like,
it's like it's a turbo car is the wrong word for it. It's called a turbo car, but it's a turbine.
Yeah. And he won, he like led like almost the entire race, and then the thing broke like right near the end and lost.
2 laps to go. Yeah, it was crazy.
So,
and then obviously the next year it was banned. So,
yep. So pretty cool guy.
Yeah, and my favorite Parnelli Jones vehicles are both Fords. The Boss 302 in that like mustard yellow color, and the big Ole Bronco that he ran in the Baja 500, and I think also the Baja 1000. It wasn't called the Baja 1000 yet. It was called the Mexican 1000, I think.
Yep.
But that was the big Ole, and I've always loved that Bronco because A, I had a slot car of it, and B, it was in the original Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yep.
When actually Parnelli Jones himself was in the movie with his car collection.
Yep.
Because they wanted to steal the big Ole Bronco from his car collection.
So did you ever watch the James Garner Racing Scene movie? We've talked about this before.
I have not. Nope.
He's running the Baja with Parnelli Jones.
Okay. As his co-driver?
Yeah, I think they like switched off driving.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's very cool. Did not know that. I know that. I mean, Parnelli Jones he's a legend in the sport, right? And I didn't know much about him somehow. I didn't know what vehicles he owned. I didn't know what vehicles he raced. I knew about the Mustang. I knew about the Bronco, and I knew he had history with IndyCar. But if you asked me last week who drove the turbine car, I wouldn't have been able to pull out that it was Parnelli Jones. And I feel like that's a sad case for me. I had to read up a little bit on him. There is a documentary about him, which I think I'll have to not about him specifically, but a history of the Indy 500, and it's centered mostly in the 60s. And
it's behind the Indianapolis 500 with Parnelli Jones.
Okay, there you go. That's the one. So I'll have to watch that and learn a little more about him. But it's interesting guy, and definitely a legend in auto racing, and certainly helped build modern auto racing to what it is today. So he was 90. I don't know how he passed. I'm just old age, I guess. I don't know if he was sick or what, but nonetheless, let a legend gone. Moving on, NASCAR. We watched the NASCAR race last week. It was St. Louis.
Yeah.
They call it the St. Louis race, but it's actually in
Yeah, it's like Gateway Racetrack. It's like World Technology Racetrack or something.
Yep.
Also, yeah, synchronistic because you were just there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny because when we flew into St. Louis and drove to Indy, we drove right past that track to
Yeah,
see it
I
from the
guess
highway.
I feel like when it was on TV, they showed like you can see the arch from there, and I think they're also there because they were doing testing for the Brickyard during the week.
I know they're doing testing for the Brickyard because I heard that Kyle Busch crashed pretty hard doing tire testing for
Yeah.
the Brickyard.
Which I didn't know they still did the Brickyard race. For some reason that slipped me.
I think they stopped and did a road course for a year or two, didn't they?
They did do the Indy Road Course, yeah.
Or did they run both? No, I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But
it would be cool to go back to Indy and see the NASCAR race.
it would.
Yeah.
I'm really into wanting to go back there because there's like the Indy 8 hour, which is in October, and it's only like $65 for a ticket that gets you everywhere.
Is that IMSA?
No, it's like some third party endurance series. Like it's
Interesting.
not even WEC. It's like something else. It's weird.
Indiana sports cars.
I didn't even know it was like a thing until I bought a diecast of a car that won the Indy 8 hour. And I was like,
Interesting.
what is this race? It's not IMSA.
Well, what kind of car was it?
It was one of the AMGs, the GT3 cars.
Okay. So it's like privateer racers, maybe?
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's funny because we were just talking, because we were just there. We were talking about like what else happens at this racetrack during the year. Like what, I don't know if you live in that area. They don't do like HPDE days there. There's not like.
I think they do the road
drive
course.
Indy. Do they really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen Track Night in America advertised there.
That would be a cool thing to do. Like, baseball fans like to go to all the different baseball parks. Like, as car people, like, try to hit a different legendary track for a track day once a year.
Yeah, I mean, they do ones at Daytona, which is cool.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I know Laguna Seca does them and Daytona does them. If Indy does, that's cool. I didn't know that. Maybe that's a new car guy stretch goal.
We've done Lime Rock.
Sure.
Done Nürburgring.
Yeah, that's a big one. Actually, that race was last weekend too. I didn't pay enough attention.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
I know it got fogged out.
Yeah, there was a ton of good racing last weekend. So we got off topic. The NASCAR race was in St. Louis, but it's like it was like the Enjoy Illinois 300. But I'm like, where is
the racetrack
this race?
is technically in Illinois, but at that point of Illinois, it's not near enough to Chicago to call it Chicago, so they call it St. Louis because it's closer to St. Louis.
Yeah,
because otherwise it would be like the Illinois. It would be like the Smith, Illinois 300 or something. And like, where is this city? Who knows? St. Louis is what we're going to call it.
All I know is when you're driving across country, you get to Missouri, right? Because that's where St. Louis is, or the city's like split in the middle, isn't it? It's really
St.
weird.
Louis is annoying to drive through when you're just driving across country because it's the convergence of a bunch of major highways.
Yeah,
and it feels like you have to get over 6 lanes like 3 different times to try to go straight.
Yeah, to just keep going
Super
west.
Annoying.
Yeah. And then like you're like, all right, I'm in Missouri. Here comes Indiana. It's like, no, wait, here's Illinois to drive through, and I'm Illinois'd.
Yep. Yeah, it's that whole, I don't want to, alienate all of our listeners in the middle of the country, but you don't learn much about it in school. So you forget half of it's there, and you just drive it across country, and you're like, yeah, Pennsylvania.
Well, the only thing I know about Illinois is Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
In Chicago.
Yeah, Ohio. I'm in Ohio. I must almost be in Nevada. Wait, nope, you're not. There's still all of this part of the country that is just not really talked about. So, and it takes an entire day and a half to get through.
All right, back to the race.
Yes. What's neat about this race, or not neat, what's weird about this race is before the race starts, they fire off this ridiculous pyrotechnic blast on the backstretch. Why did they do it? No idea. It's just some Indiana or Illinois, St. Louis thing. I don't know. But it's such a big blast that it covers the track in ash. And the first couple of laps of the race, it looks like they're driving through a beach. And all of the cameras in the cars were covered in ash, and it looks slippery. It was just like, what? We should probably just stop doing this. It seems like a bad idea. And it would be really cool if they'd fired it off like on lap 1 as the cars are at speed, but they do it like before the real pace laps even start.
Yeah, like
So
the parade laps.
Kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. Was a very good race, very entertaining to watch. I don't remember much about the whole race, but I remember the finish. You want to just skip to the finish?
Well, the race didn't have a lot going on. It's a 1.25 mile track. Same problem. They need tires to wear out.
Yep.
It wasn't a super boring race because it did, they talked about the track did widen out, so it wasn't like single file.
No, there was some good passing. There was a lot of good mid.
Yeah, and there was
racing. A lot of 4 wide.
Ended up being a lot of pit strategy happening.
Yep.
And that's where a lot of the lead changes came from. It was pretty clear though that Christopher Bell had a really fast car.
100%. Super fast car.
But it's interesting because like who's the 34? McDonough?
McDowell. Michael McDowell.
Yeah.
How dare you? He's the Phoenix local.
He was on the pole. He's really fast.
Yeah.
And
Very
then
much.
just like,
Very fast.
I don't know, just like fell off. Like it's weird. Sometimes it's funny how a car that can get on the pole sometimes is fine. It's fast the whole race. Or sometimes they just did something to the setup. They had it trimmed out. However they did, it got on pole. And that's all it could do. I don't know.
Well, a lot of times once the car is out there driving for lap after lap after lap, the car was set up ideal on a brand new set of tires for 3 laps.
Yeah.
And then once those, if it's, once those tires wear in, the car is not set up exactly the same, or the tire pressure changes. I guess one of the other big things too was that they were surprised by how sunny it was that day because it was supposed to be overcast.
Yeah.
So the track temperatures were way higher than they were supposed to be, which threw everybody for a loop as far as the setups go. And I think that's probably part of the thing too. Like they were probably set up for their qualifying effort, qualified in the pole by like a good margin too, and then went out there with the wrong setup for the heat and just couldn't keep up.
So the only thing that was sort of notable early on, Kyle Larson was passing Kyle Busch, kind of got into his quarter a little bit, and then Kyle Busch just came down and squeezed him, and then it just put both of them in the wall.
Yeah, it seemed like a clean but close pass from Kyle Larson.
Yeah, he's just side drafting.
If anybody listens to this show, they know we don't love Kyle Larson, and for us to defend Kyle Larson is means he's definitely probably not at fault. Not that we love Kyle Busch either. It's kind of a
not lately.
But
Kyle Busch has been doing a lot of dick moves.
Well, he always has. He's not a good guy, and wasn't it his brother that got arrested for beating his wife? So maybe not a good family.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that Kyle Larson was passing him aggressively but cleanly, and it ticked off Kyle Busch. So he just kind of doored him on purpose. But when he doored him, I think they said he might have damaged the tire. And then when they went to the next corner, Kyle Larson's car just got loose and took them both out. So, but I think that's 100% Kyle Busch's fault.
Yeah.
So,
and then Larson was back up like top 10 at the end of the race.
Because he's ridiculous. Yeah.
They did give him
so
a
happy
waiver
when I see either of them crash.
as an aside. He did get his waiver, so he's back in the championship.
He did. Yeah, which I'm not surprised about.
They should. They're, again, not a huge fan of him, but it's the right thing to do because he brought a lot of eyes to NASCAR.
And I guess his merch truck at Indianapolis was like the top selling merch truck by like double of the whole race. So
Yeah. There was a ton of Larson's
surprised.
fans when we were there.
Oh, for sure.
But anyway, yeah, the race kind of went through. I couldn't even tell you who the other couple stage winners were.
Didn't Christopher Bell sweep the stages?
He definitely won the first one. Maybe he won the second one.
Yeah, he definitely did.
He had a super fast car. He gets down to the last lap, last few laps. Somehow Blaney was out front finally with a Ford.
Yep.
Penske hasn't had a ton of race wins this season.
Every other series, yes. NASCAR, no.
Yeah, it's weird.
No.
Because we've watched several races this year in person that Penske's have won.
Yeah.
So, he's Chris Rebel drove up through rounds of pit stops, ended up in the back, drove up through the field, caught up to him, couldn't make the pass, and then Austin Cindric was kind of running back in third.
Yep.
And that'll factor in at the end. But Bell did something where he over-revved the engine, and it was just down on power. That's it. Didn't blow it up totally, but, did something to it.
Yeah, it wasn't healthy anymore.
It was kind of interesting.
Much like my Corolla. Maybe he dropped cylinder 3.
Yeah. So then he kind of fell off 2 or 3 seconds off the pace. And then it was interesting that Truex, who was multiple laps down, was just pushing him to try to help him finish.
Yep. Hey, I mean, it's what it is, teammates, right?
So we're all right, I guess Blaney's got this.
Yeah, but the last few laps, the last 5 to 10 laps, Austin Cindric was running faster than Blaney, and he was catching him.
He was,
and
he
there
was
was this he might do it. He might do it. He might do it.
It didn't seem like he was going to do it though.
Yeah,
it seemed like he needed 10 more laps, and he only had 5 more laps, right?
Sure.
But then, Blaney ran out of gas, which is kind of crazy.
Coming up to the white flag.
All of a sudden he dropped off, and it's just I don't know. That's how you make your luck in racing, right? You just keep pushing.
I mean, a lot of the NASCAR fans get mad when somebody wins a race by that kind of factor. Hey, you deserve third. Both cars in front of you broke. But yeah, that's racing.
That is racing. That's how it works.
Part of the reason racing exists was it was a test of endurance for car manufacturers.
Yeah,
it wasn't just, hey, my car is faster. It was, hey, my car is faster and will run longer.
Yeah, and your team doesn't make mistakes. They made a mistake by not putting enough fuel in the car.
Yep, that's the strategy point at that point. You need to have everything work together. It's all important, and I don't take the victory away from Cindric at all.
No, because
it seems like everybody online did.
No, because Cindric's team made their luck, right? They executed and they put the car in that position, and when other people failed, that they got the victory. That's winning.
And it's not like they were in last place and won the race. They were in third. They were doing well. They had a really good day.
So
and also, aside, that did put a Ford in victory.
Penske car. So
yep. That's what I meant. Sorry, a Penske car. So a Penske car did wind up winning the race eventually, anyway, somehow.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a cool race. But anyway, enough NASCAR. There was some other cool races going on. IMSA was in Detroit. IndyCar was in Detroit.
Sure.
I watched the whole IMSA race. That was pretty cool. There's some cool passes.
I should set my DVR to record that because I miss it every week.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I don't only have so much time on a weekend to sit and watch racing.
Yeah, I mean, I got to get into sometimes the recaps on YouTube. I started to watch the IndyCar record and I didn't, and I meant to go watch the recap. I couldn't tell you who won that race.
Yeah, the YouTube recaps are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
I know that usually the race series puts them together now. NASCAR does a 15 or 30-minute recap after every race, and it's really pretty good.
But, we're in the middle of racing season, so there's a ton of good racing going on. Last weekend was particularly packed. But it was cool. The Acura, Wayne Taylor Racing Andretti, won past the Porsche with like 5 minutes to go in Detroit. Ended up winning.
Excellent.
I forget which
So
class the
Penske lost
Rexy
that
car
race.
is in, but they won.
Yeah, GT. Nope, I don't want to say it wrong. So
I don't know if
I'm
they're
not gonna say
GTD or GT Pro.
I think GT Pro.
Yeah, I get those. I get the GT cars confused because there's two classes
Yeah.
and they're like the same car, but it's the drivers that make the difference.
I've been following AO Racing. That's the Rexy car team.
Yep.
Their Instagram has been fun. They have like plush dinosaurs and stuff that they do funny things with, and it's an entertaining follow. Plus, I think it's probably pretty good for bringing young people into the sport by having like that kind of cartoonish character. So
Yes.
I think it's cool. And that car exists in diecast. Now I need to buy it. So
I actually have it. I have one on the way. It just got released.
Yeah,
so
I need to get one. Yeah.
So yeah, that I think Detroit's a cool circuit. They're going to Watkins Glen next, I think. Super bummed that they're not going to Lime Rock. And it happens to be that Watkins Glen is the same weekend as the NASCAR Cup race, which I have tickets to. So
Right.
in New Hampshire.
I wish that NASCAR and IndyCar and sports car racing would kind of do like a big like mega weekend. Like how cool would it have been to also have NASCAR at Detroit?
They might at some point because NASCAR owns IMSA. IndyCar and NASCAR are clearly friendly.
Yeah, especially with the whole Penske connection. Like Penske owns IndyCar and he runs NASCAR teams.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like pretty cool for them to do something just somewhere.
Yeah, I would 100% go to that. It would obviously have to be a road course event, and a street course like Detroit would be perfect.
Yeah, even if they did Chicago, like just some mega,
the street course is already
fan event, right?
The street course is already set up. The city's already inconvenienced. Like, let's make some more money for the town, bring in more people, and let's do this big mega weekend. Even add other stuff, like do racing starting on a Wednesday with, I don't know if stadium super trucks are even a thing anymore, but with like super trucks or drifting or, because all these events do combine at other places, just never all together. Like just put them all together for one big like super America motorsports weekend. That would be a really neat thing, and I think that would be, I don't know, put me in charge.
Yeah, seriously.
Auto off topic for president of auto racing.
Yep. So yeah, then also speaking of like YouTube and democratizing seeing racing, they do live streams of the Nürburgring 24-hour race.
Sure.
But interestingly, and I'll get to it, the qualifying was on YouTube as live streaming with commentary from the Radio Le Mans people, which is like perfect. That's like my favorite.
Yep.
And the early Saturday morning, before the 24-hour race started, that started in the afternoon in Germany. In the morning, I was watching it. They did the like 3-hour classic race, which is like cars from late 60s all the way to like the 2000s of like GT cars. So cool because it's just like privateer teams running basically modern historics for 3 hours around the Nürburgring.
I believe they call them young timers over there.
Basically, yeah. And when they do the Nürburgring 24-hour race, it is the Nordschleife and the Grand Prix circuit. So massive track. So it's such a huge track that they run like it's like 129 cars. And they release them in waves because you couldn't just start 129 cars at once. But it's probably on YouTube. Maybe they edited out the dead air they had for like 30 minutes at the beginning.
I was frustrated because I was trying to watch it and I thought my thing kept freezing. I didn't realize it was dead air.
Yeah,
so
maybe you can go back and just... It's not like super exciting stuff, but you can just put it on in the background while you're doing something else.
But just seeing the vintage cars on track and hearing them is cool enough for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we go to the historics. Like, we don't go to the historics expecting, bumper to door-to-door, bumper-to-bumper action. You go to see old cars at speed on track.
So then later on in the day after the car show, I was like, oh, I got back to the house and Mark was taking a nap. I'm like, I want to watch some more of this 24-hour race. Because I remember watching it last year on YouTube, and it was right before we went to Germany to go to the Nürburgring. So I was kind of like, oh, this is cool, because I'd been doing a lot of sim racing and other stuff, and I was like, oh, now I'm like recognizing where they are on the track. So I turn on YouTube. There's like live streams from in the cars. There's live streams in the pits. There's no race live stream in English. I was like, what happened here? Like, why? Like, this sucks. Like, last year you could watch it, this year you can't. So I'm like Googling it. There's this super obscure, of course, new streaming platform called like Speed Sport 1 or Speed Sport TV or something. It's free, but you have to download their app or go to the website, and you watch on a computer. And of course, it doesn't, when you're in the app, I can't cast it to my TV because I don't have an Apple TV and I have an iPhone. I can't just like, and the app doesn't exist for my cable box. Like, this is
You put it up on a laptop and then run a
HDMI.
cable.
Yep. That's what I ended up doing. So then I put it on.
Or Andrew, you could go back to when you chose iPhone over Android and choose an Android. And I have a cable that plugs into my Android that allows me to mirror my screen on the television.
But then I can't use my phone at the same time.
That's
look
fine.
At stuff.
That's fine. It's called going back in time all the way, Andrew, and pretending that it's 1990 something, and you have to do one thing at a time.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
Listen,
my laptop.
I haven't had a phone for like 3 days. So if you're on Discord and you're like, "Where's Brad been?" That's where Brad's been. He doesn't have a phone. I broke my phone.
Keep Brad analog.
Yes. And honestly, it's been really nice going back in time. I haven't like picked up my phone every 2 seconds to check notifications, and it's been nice. It's been nice. I did put my SIM card in an old phone so I can like make phone calls and have text messages, but I on purpose have not downloaded anything on the phone because I don't want to set everything up and sign in and everything, the whole nine. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for these 3 or 4 days till my new phone comes in without a phone beyond a cell phone. Like, it might as well be a flip phone right now. So,
all right.
It's been nice.
So anyway, back to my race story.
Yes.
Yeah, I ended up trying to watch it with my laptop through HDMI, and that did work. And then it didn't work later on. I was like, what is going on here? This is really annoying. It's like not showing the stream. I was like, this is so annoying. This is the only way to watch it. Why is it not showing it? I was getting really, really annoyed. I finally Googled it and finally found it. It didn't come up like right away. It was like, they didn't like put it as like a banner on their website. I had to find it on their news website of like Speed Sport TV. The race was red flagged for fog.
Correct.
Like, the fog was so dense,
which I did know,
that like they could not see. Like, it was dangerous. Like, the marshals could not see tower to tower on the track.
Yep.
So
yeah, no, it was bad fog.
Yeah. So the race was like, I don't know, 6 hours or something, 3 hours. It was not a full 24. They were able to restart in the morning. I think they did some formation laps, and they were like, it's still too foggy. And
Yep.
They just called it. And whoever was in first, one of the teams was like an Audi or something. That's who won. But I mean, I remember because when I went there, we were delayed for an hour because it was very foggy, and they wouldn't let people run tourist day.
Right.
It's super dangerous. So,
well, hopefully in 2 weeks, when the next 24-hour race happens, we'll get the full 24 hours. So,
yeah, it typically just rains in France for Le Mans.
yeah. I'm not as excited about Le Mans this year because the Camaro last year was super cool, but I'm still excited and I can't wait to watch it. So I'm going to try to watch as much of it as possible on that weekend. I might be super nerdy and plop down with a race car model or something and race car model build while watching the race.
Yeah. But you also have, like, if you got to go do something else, you can just listen to the Radio Le Mans broadcast.
Yep. Or I also have a cable television in the garage, so I can
There you go.
watch it while I'm in the garage too. So 2024 is great, Andrew. I might not have a cell phone right now, but I still have plenty of tech.
It's man, it's like just it's a really good time to be into racing. There's a lot of good racing. It's fairly easy to consume.
I've talked about that with my dad before. Like he talks about back in the early 80s and in the 70s trying to watch, NASCAR events, and they were just broadcast on the ABC Wide World of Sports.
Yep.
So you'd get, a half hour of the race, and then it would be like hurdling, and then it would be like horse racing. And you might get another 15 minutes of the race, but you would never get a whole race broadcast because there were 3 television channels, so they couldn't put a race on for 5 hours. So it's definitely.
However, if we could just get the Fox broadcast to be better, but.
Well, we're in luck because the Fox broadcast is almost over. It's almost time to switch to the next network.
Yeah, what do they got? 2 more weeks? They switch. I think they switched during the not during the All-Star, during the 4th of July race.
Probably.
Oh, that was the other thing. So speaking of that, Shane Van Gisbergen won the Xfinity race at Portland. Did you watch it?
Which is also annoying because they should have had the Cup race there too because it's a road course.
Yeah.
They're in the trucks and the Xfinity cars there.
Yeah.
So I did not watch that race, but I did watch the YouTube breakdown of that race afterwards.
Yeah.
It looked like it was a fun race. And it's amazing what a driver SVG is, because he was pretty mired back in the pack a couple of times after pit strategy stuff and just drove his way to the top each time.
Did you see the I don't even know what the driver was, but it was like I kind of vaguely remember the spot. It's a red car, Wheeling car, I think.
Okay.
It was the front end was damaged. You've probably seen the memes with this big pit crew guy. It's like probably 300 pounds, like runs and dives on the hood to like bend the hood down. He like literally does like a swan dive onto the hood to like, because the car was damaged. The hood was bent up. So obviously to like, you only a certain amount of time to like bend stuff back, and these Xfinity cars are still sheet metal, because I think they're still Gen 6 cars. So he literally ran and like
so
just
we got a
dove
huge
on the hood
guy
and just,
theory and a
just
serial crusher theory. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so funny.
I'll have to look for that.
But anyway,
yeah, no, Le Mans is not this weekend; it's the following weekend. So I'm excited to watch that 24-hour race.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to watch as much of it as I can this year, I guess. Anyway, moving on from motorsports, we have end the episode, or do you want to go and do a couple of our thing we discussed prior to the episode?
Let's do one each, because we're getting towards the end here. We don't have to finish on motorsports. We'll finish people on a fan favorite. I think I only have like one that maybe works. So,
okay, I'm gonna do 2 because I have 2 good ones. All right, I'll go first then. Car number 1. Exterior color.
Hold on.
Red.
We're doing Craig. Don't tell me.
All right. Exterior color, red. Interior color, black. VIN number, blah, blah, blah. Mileage, 78,862. Miles per gallon, 19 city, 26 highway. Engine, 2.0 liter turbo inline 4, 190 horsepower, 203 foot-pounds. Gasoline, 5-speed manual, front-wheel drive, clean title. Blank. 1 owner. Purchased new in Prescott, Arizona. Garage kept since new. Never detailed. It's clearly been detailed. Anyway, never detailed in excellent. 2-liter turbo inline 4 engine. 5-speed manual transmission. Front-wheel drive. Power assisted rack and pinion. 4-wheel independent. 4-wheel disc brakes. Bucket seats. Tilt steering. Power windows and door locks. functional air conditioning, 4-speaker cassette player. What 78,000 mile 5-speed 2-liter front wheel drive car do we have for sale? One old
All
lady
right.
owner.
Well, it's American built. Is it a
I can read you the VIN.
first
Maybe it'll
gen
help.
Ford Probe?
4PS. Nope. 4P3 CS44. It is.
2-liter turbo 4. The 4-wheel independent means it's
not a
not, and
first
it's
gen
front wheel
Ford
drive
Probe.
means it's not a DSM.
It was probably cross-shopped with a first-gen Ford Probe, if I had to guess.
Oh. Okay.
So I may
Eclipse
have
turbo.
to take that out of there because it's probably not 4-wheel independent suspension. I was just reading it
Okay.
across as we went. But
Yep.
close. It is a 1990 Plymouth Laser RS Turbo hatchback.
Cool. What color is it?
It is ultra clean with 78,000 miles.
Oh.
Other than the fact that it has cheap Eagle 5-spokes.
Yeah, it has
is
no body kit on
bone
it.
stock,
Yeah.
right down to all the original decals still on the car. Red with a gray interior. The Laser
super grandma
RS
car.
is such a simple looking car. There's no rocker moldings.
That's
no
pretty
rocker
cool.
moldings, no lower lip on the front bumper. The front grille insert between the headlights is painted
Whoa.
red, so it just kind of disappears.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
available in the 4.263 turbo 5-speed, which is what this car is. I mean, they want 13 grand for it, so it's definitely not a
2003
I don't know what
brain
I have.
is like that.
But
Is way
for a
too much
sub
money.
100,
But yeah, in
for a sub
2024, that is
100,000 mile,
probably the correct amount of money for it.
I mean, all-wheel drive ones on BAT with this kind of mileage are going for almost 20 now. So I don't think it's a bad deal. Yeah, I mean, listen, my Eclipse with more miles on it, I wouldn't let go for less than 5. And mine's not even a turbo because we're just in a different space than we used to be now. And I wish it wasn't so boring looking because I want it. Like I took a picture yesterday with my cell phone that doesn't have any apps on it, so nobody's seen it yet. But next to me or behind me in traffic was a first gen Eclipse in like that aqua bright blue color.
Wild.
That they came in. But it was a running driving car with the windows up so that either the AC works or the windows are broken and the driver was sweating. But it was a 1.8 car with a flat hood still driving in traffic. Just like a normal car. I was like, whoa, that is wild to see on the street. I haven't seen a 1.8 car just running and driving around for a while. It was definitely a stick car too because it rolled back at the light. I was like, oh, that's I don't want it, but I'm glad it exists.
All right.
So yeah, that was just
I think this is the best
there wasn't
one
a ton of info on that one, and some of it was wrong.
So
but
I'll just do
I
this
just
one.
wanted you to be aware of this vehicle.
Former California car with only 36,000
I
miles.
sent you a
Lots of documentation.
I sent you the link
Has
as
most
well, so you can take
options,
a look at
including
it.
ice-cold air conditioning, power windows, locks and seat, dual-facing rear seats, alloy wheels, luggage rack and more. Luggage rack and more. Original paint like new. Mint interior. Chrome and stainless like new. Fuel-injected 302. Never any rust. You need to see this. None finer. Mass title and
Dual facing rear seats? The hell does that mean?
Yeah, maybe.
So it's a dual facing rear seats like station wagon style?
Judges? Okay. They'll give it to you. 86 Ford Crown Victoria
so it's
wagon.
a Ford Grand Marquis station wagon,
So,
or
pretty much nailed it. Yeah,
what do they call it?
but,
Country Squire.
I mean, it is
It's
super
like
clean.
1985
like,
Ford Country Squire.
It's like belongs in Stranger Things clean, like it's brand new. It's prosthetic limb
so it doesn't
beige
have the wood trim.
or white, brown interior, with the rear seats face inward to each other, the third row.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's wild.
Yep. They're on like they're like extended cab pickup truck jump seats. Yeah. Super, super cool. It's funny because one of the ones that I was going to use for you, but didn't, was a 1976 Dodge Aspen
We used to be a
station
proper
wagon,
country. We had station wagons like
which
this.
is a very, slightly earlier American station wagon that is on my list of cars I need to own. Not this one, though, because it's also a prosthetic limb beige. So we did. And listen, I want one of these Aspens so bad, or a Volare preferred, just because my grandfather had one when I was a kid. And it was the same station wagon, but it was pea green. But also, this was it's the car that Bob Belcher drives in Bob's
Yes.
Burgers. So now there's a double reason to want one. So anyway, all right, my second vehicle. You ready?
Yep.
This is a blank. Ready for interior renovations. The interior is not restored. Are you a DIY enthusiast or looking for a unique project? This classic blank is the perfect running canvas for your next adventure with a full back ready to build. This blank is running well and in excellent shape for its next adventure. Year blank, make blank, model blank, mileage 106,000. Turned over after 100,000 reads 6,000. Condition running well. The current owner did minor maniacal work in 2021, but otherwise no issues. Ready for interior renovation. I assume that means mechanical, but I definitely spelled it maniacal. Price, I'll give you the price, $64.95.
Definitely do maniacal work.
Maniacal work. Price, $64.95 or best offer. Features, open floor plan, ready for renovation. Engine, V8 3180. I don't know what 3180 means. I do know what size engine it is, and the numbers are there. Transmission, 727 automatic. Body, solid structure, some surface sun damage, no major issues. Probably needs a new battery come summer season. You know that issue with the battery being part of the body description. Interior, brown, original seats and dashboard, a blank slate for your customization. Exterior color, Arizona orange. Highlights, iconic vintage style, perfect for restoration enthusiasts. Spacious interior, ideal for whatever you want to do. Reliable mechanics, spelled correctly, maintained well for over the years. Why buy this blank? This blank offers endless possibilities. Whether you're dreaming of a blank or a stylish vintage ride, this blank is the perfect starting point. It's a reliable classic with lots of potential for those willing to invest some love and creativity. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity to own a piece of automotive history. This blank is ready for new life. Could it be with you? Act fast. This gem won't last long. What kind of vehicle do we have here? The information you have to glean from: engine V8 3180, transmission 727 automatic, rear wheel drive.
Well, it's some like Dodge van.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, I guess.
727 is what got me.
I think 3180 is they got a little overzealous when they were typing. It should be 318.
But let me see if I can get like a, I don't know the models, like a, it's gonna be like a, like a 77 or something Dodge van. The round headlights.
That was really good. It's a 76, and the model is Tradesman.
Okay.
I think Tradesman meant it was set up for like utility.
I can like picture what it looks like. It's a lot better looking than the later Ram vans, but
it's so good. It's so good. I know that when a friend of the show, Steve, listens, he's going to want me to send him the link. So I'll make sure I send it to our Discord once I have a phone back. I just sent you a link to, and all the links I've sent you. It is such a good looking van, and for that kind of money, a good running, driving V8 van is a good
Whoa.
deal, and
Yeah, that's cool.
I want it. How cool is that? So I'm upset we're only doing a couple because I had some good ones pulled aside, but that's all right. We'll save it for next time.
Yeah. All right. So,
All right.
on that rousing game of Craig, Don't Tell Me, you can find us on Off Topic Podcast on Facebook if you want. Definitely on Off Topic on Instagram. Oh, that's what you missed without your phone. The Another Automotive Podcast.
Yes.
Is it
Another pointless automotive
yes.
podcast.
They responded to your taunt.
Oh, about the Polar
Yes.
Seltzer? Oh, good.
So you have to go take care of your beef there.
I'll have a new phone tomorrow, so if you want to tell Frank and Chadwick that I'm coming,
Yeah, they can go. You can go holler at your boys.
they can go wait.
So yeah, we're on Instagram, on Off Topic on Threads. I am Racing on Instagram and Threads. And Brad, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at TSISS350. They can find me on Threads at the same. Anywhere that Auto Off Topic is that you already listed, and Scale Autocast will eventually start posting again. And also, we're both usually on Discord, so hit us up with a request for an invite link, and we'll send you an invite link. By the time this goes live, I should actually have a phone, so I should be able to take care of that. So hit us up and come join, and we'll try to put all these vehicles we talked about. We'll go post it on there at some point in the tire kicker section.
I forget who requested it. Somebody, because Google Podcast was sunsetting. Our podcast can now be found. You could find it on YouTube before, but it was under like videos. Like we were able to, the podcast provider we use would push podcast to YouTube and then give it like a little video background so it would actually work. But apparently now YouTube has their own podcast part of their app.
So YouTube is now part of the Google family.
Oh.
So my assumption is that's why Google Podcasts went away.
So,
yeah.
That being said, I've authorized all the episodes are on YouTube Podcasts. So if for some reason you use YouTube Music and you want to go through podcasts for there, we're in there. Because I think some of our listens were down because we weren't on Google and maybe people weren't getting it. But now we're back into the Google ecosystem, hopefully. So,
or our listens are down because we're terrible.
That is also possible. Because it could have been just relying on podcast catchers that pull from Apple Podcasts.
And again, like I said, I still can't get us on that one podcast app, and I don't understand why.
Which one?
So, podcast, I don't remember. I have to go look it up again. I always say Podcast Addict, but it's not that. That's what I used to use.
Well,
it's podcast something.
Regardless, if you're listening to us and you've gotten this far, you probably know how to find us. But if you've got somebody who you want to listen to the show, I don't know. That's the other thing. Word of mouth helps if you want people to listen to the show. We should be on. We are definitely on Spotify. We're definitely on YouTube podcasts. It posts as YouTube videos. I think there's like a couple other ones. It might go to Amazon too. But basically, it goes to all the major platforms. Everywhere. And typically, most, if you're not using Spotify or your native podcast app on an iPhone, if you're using an Android, whatever podcast catcher you're using on that usually pulls from the major ones like Apple. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm still not sure, but whatever. We'll figure it out. The problem is it's a major Android app, so there's a lot of users.
Yeah. That the other thing that hurt us was that switch from our original host to the new host. It kind of broke some stuff, but
yep.
I thought I had fixed them all.
Yep.
So anyway,
Also, we need to start doing some episodes with some guests and some topics again. So we'll get back on that, and we'll get back to the way it used to be, and life will be good. Not that there's anything wrong with what we're doing now, but a lot of projects going on. So,
all right. Well, on that note, keep your guys analog and aim for the roses.